Is it better to sell your home now in the spring or wait till the fall? If you didn't have the restraints of life and numbers and all these things around you and you just wanted to find out what was the best time to do that here in Calgary, well, you're in the right place. You already probably know and have seen how prices have increased. If you wait around to the end of the video, I'm going to have a link there for you where I show you how you as an owner in Calgary have made more than $5,000 per month over the last year. But first, let's talk about what is better, to sell in the spring or to sell in the fall. Choosing the timing of selling your home can be tricky, and we know that. There is family, there is kids, there's work, even just general numbers in the market. And sometimes it's even just finding the next house can also be tricky too. So we're gonna walk through 3 different charts today. And the first one we have, and I just wanna zoom in so you can see this a little bit better, is sales versus new listings in Calgary, okay? So we're just looking at Calgary numbers to get a sense of the rhythms, what happens and whatnot, okay? So this goes back to February 13th, so February 2013, all the way up to February 2022, okay? And these numbers here, so you can kind of see there's these dips that happen, right? These are right around the months of November to February, and they typically are happening. So what's meaning is there's less listings coming on. You can see almost every time, once we come out of spring highs, there's a little blip right about here. And if we were to do that, that's about September. That line is crooked, I know. But it lands right in between August and November. So you can see there's always this little blip in the fall, okay? So listings come on. So we have a bigger spike, in the springtime, a littler spike in the fall, and then it drops in terms of new listing over the winter. Now, what I find interesting, I'm just going to erase some of this so then we can, there we go. So what I find interesting is right here and here are the only 2 times when the number of new listings was less than the number of sales. Every other time there were more listings coming on than there were sales over the winter months. All right. Now this is getting into 2020, which the year was just kind of messed up. But I find that very, very interesting when we're looking at this. Okay, we're going to come back to that, and I'm going to show you a correlation with another chart. But this one is in months of inventory. And so in the months of inventory in Calgary, so again, anything between roughly, let's call it 2.5 to 4 months of inventory is considered under here is a seller's market, in here is a balanced, above here is a buyer's market, okay? And so that's kind of how that all looks. And the market back in 2014 was definitely in a seller's market. We right now are definitely in a seller's market, and we are much lower than we have been in a very long time in terms of months of inventory. And again, if you don't remember, just a quick recap, months of inventory is how long is it going to take everything to sell off the current inventory based on the number of sales that are happening. This is 2020, big spike, but this was coming out into 2015, 2016, 17, 18. So this is January right there of 2019. So for the long time, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, we have been much more in a more of a buyer's market, and we have been pushed quickly into a seller's market right now. So this kind of just gives you a feel of what's happened. And 2014 was the last time that we saw increase in the city. But what I really want to talk about is this. So this is our chart on the top, again, sales versus new listings. Remember we were talking about this one and this one. And these were the times when there were less listings that came on the market than there were sales that happened over the winter months. What happened after this? We saw prices going up. And as soon as we started to see this gap becoming quite large from here on out, whoa, that was a bad line. I'm glad we have tools that make straight lines. We started to see prices decreasing. Okay. And so the last time that we had prices at the 2014 level, we almost peaked right here in last spring, summer of 2021. And now This is where that number is. It's kind of hard to see under all the lines, but that's where the number is right now. And so Calgary has definitely seen a change in prices. Now, how does this correlate to you selling in the spring or the fall? Now, based on the numbers, you're going to have more buyers probably looking in the springtime than in the fall. But you're also going to have more competition in the spring than in the fall. And if we were in a market where prices were decreasing like here, I would probably say less competition might actually be better for you because the buyers aren't finding as many good homes for themselves. Okay. However, when we are in a market like this or like this, competition or more homes kind of breeds better. That's not even the right way to say that, but it's better for you as a seller. And the reason is because it's bringing more buyers. So if you have an ice cream stand and you have and you're wanting to position it the best place to more customers, where do you go? Set them up side by side. You're going to bring more customers together. And that is what's happening right now is there's more listings, even though we have this crazy amount of listings coming on the market and crazy amounts selling. So because of that, we're going to walk into a spring market that is going to see a lot of activity. And so this spring probably going to be better than the fall. Now, I don't fully know what the market will look like after the summer when we start having interest rates change. Interest rates are changing, but a lot of people still have their pre-approvals and they can be held for sometimes like a number of months. So these pre-approvals are going to be held probably till the end of spring, maybe early summer, and then those people who have pre-approvals held up until August when they got them maybe in May or June, their rates are going to be higher. So we're going to see some things happen over the summer. I don't know if that's going to cause not necessarily a slowdown, but like a breath of air because every day you guys are watching these videos. For those of you that are watching out of town, every day we are hearing and talking to you and you guys are saying, I'm planning on being here in October. I'm planning on being here early next year. There are still a lot of people who these out of town buyers that are planning on coming to the city are still planning on coming. They're just not coming now. They're planning for the future. And that's the interesting part when we hear these comments on our YouTube channel and emails coming in, just talking about, Calgary's going to slow down like the rest of the country. Well, I don't think this time, because the rest of the country is coming here. We have extra buyers added on. And so being a seller in this kind of market, when you have more people coming, I feel like it is going to be good in the spring. From a numbers perspective, and it might be a little bit slower in the summer. I don't fully know. And then in the fall, I feel like it could be good as well. Now, this is the other part of when we are talking about this whole strategy, right? We had two parts. There was numbers and there was lifestyle. So the thing with lifestyle is, when is the best time to sell? Well, sometimes you don't get to choose when the best time to sell is. Sometimes you just don't get to choose. If you have a rental and you're timing it and you're planning it, that's totally different. But if it's your own personal house, your family life can be really disrupted. The other part is finding the next home. So if you can't find the next home yet and you don't know where you're moving to, planning around your family life can be really difficult. So you might, if you're having to change kids' schools, or if you're wanting to be close to certain sports or in a certain area so you can stay in a certain hockey team or whatever the situation is. But this family life can really dictate more of when you are actually selling. Now, if we go back to this, back here and over this next year or two, I honestly believe it's going to be a good time to sell no matter what. In the general scheme of things, especially because our prices have really increased. And so you're going to see equity in your home, even if you bought it in 2014, 15, we're past those numbers now. Okay. So that's one good thing in your favor. But when you find that next home, you can't choose the timing of it. The really important thing here is have a plan when it's last minute. And what I mean by that is, if you are waiting for the right home to come on the market and you're writing multiple offers, or you're just waiting and it comes on and it's there, have a strategy and a plan in place so that you can pull the trigger fast. okay? Because you want to get your home on quickly. Once you've secured the home you're moving to, you want to time it properly and you want to price it properly. You want to do all these things. You want to prepare it properly. It's a lot of properlies and preparing and prices and planning, but you got to do all that stuff, right? Do that homework and do that extra work up front, because then you can move quickly on the back end. Because this is the other part of it, is that lifestyle. And this might be where you're leaning, irregardless of all of the numbers and you wanting to have this perfect planning, right? I remember, this is a weird analogy. I remember when we were having our first kid and our first daughter, and we would go to these birthing classes, right? They're gonna have have your plan and your birthing plan and whatever. And then, it never happens. And then we go to the second one, and we didn't go to another birthing class, but we kind of chuckled, Rebecca and I chuckled to ourselves, because we're like, well, what's the point of having a plan? It's just going to happen. Maybe we have a couple ideas and things that we want to do, but having the set plan, it's going to be in here and we're going to do this and this breathing technique and all these things, it's going to happen. It didn't happen that way. And that's probably the way that it's going to happen with you in selling your home. It's not going to happen just exactly the way you want it. But what it is going to do is have some ideas, have some knowledge, have some plans in place that you can start working towards and executing, because it's not going to be perfect, but you got to get it done. Now, as promised, here is the link for the video where I am talking about and showing you how your home made over $5,000 a month for you over the last 12 months. So go check out that video, and we will see you on the next video.